Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star 2, Land of Origin based on novel. So let's start. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing, carrying the spoils of their second hunt, steered the black flying boat and commenced their return journey. During the return journey, the two of them remained as cautious and vigilant as always. A flying boat is approaching, be careful. An invisible and vast fluctuation enveloped this region. Within this area, 3 covert figures had utilized a formation to detect the incoming flying boat. Let them continue to advance further deep into the formation, then make a move. The 3 hidden figures waited patiently. Suddenly, inside the black flying boat, Luo Feng's biomimetic eye of destruction was wide open. Ever since he reached the early stages of Divine Emperor on both the paths of life and destruction, this biomimetic eye of destruction naturally progressed further, gaining even stronger observational powers. Something is not quite right around us. Luo Feng immediately transmitted his thoughts to Emperor Qing. Retreat at maximum speed immediately. Oh? Emperor Qing had not sensed the danger, but he trusted his companion. Luo Feng too had merely felt that something was amiss. He hadn't detected any enemies, and the surrounding void seemed normal. However, Luo Feng's eye of destruction had perceived that the operation of the heaven and earth rules in the vicinity was somewhat abnormal. A shadowy rule had infiltrated the heaven and earth rules. The deeper one went, the more profound the influence of the shadow power became. Whoosh! The black flying boat suddenly retreated explosively, reversing course at maximum speed. We've been exposed. They actually discovered us. Trap them. A dense shadow power descended, and in an instant, an area spanning billions of kilometers turned a gloomy gray. Luo Feng's flying boat was also within the vast range of the shadow power. However, they were not far from the boundary. At this moment, the endless shadow power was thick and sticky, completely restraining the flying boat. Heaven and earth unite. Heaven and earth creation. A towering figure emerged, naturally mobilizing the vast power of heaven and earth. His right hand, like a great axe, furiously cleaved downwards. Where the axe fell, it seemed as if the world was being split in two, forcibly ripping open a giant heavenly rift. This was a forbidden move that Luo Feng created, best suited to the characteristics of his heaven and earth avatar, after reaching the early stages of Divine Emperor in both life and destruction, heaven and earth creation. After this gigantic rift was cleaved open, even the shadow power was briefly split apart by a massive gap. Whoosh! The black flying boat immediately followed this rift, its speed soaring, streaking out of the range of the shadow power in an instant. The towering figure also followed the heavenly rift and instantly escaped, rushing out. Only after fleeing the vast range of the shadow power did Emperor Qing finally exhale in relief. Brother Luo Feng, it must be the experts from Shadow Tower. Emperor Qing transmitted his thoughts. If we were trapped in their formation, it would be a big trouble. This formation is formidable. My heaven and earth avatar's forbidden move could only manage to rip open a rift. Luo Feng also felt how troublesome their opponents were. Ha ha ha. Laughter echoed. 3 twisted shadows descended all around and materialized into 3 figures. They each wore grey robes and masks, an invisible force spreading around them. It indeed is Shadow Tower. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing were completely certain. Within Yulon City, there were 3 forces routinely engaging in theft and raiding: Insect Nest, Shadow Tower, and Deceit Workshop, all belonging to Wei Yang Palace Master. The forces led by Wei Yang Palace Master represented the largest power in Yulon City. In Shadow Tower, those responsible for theft held a relatively ordinary status. Those in charge of raiding were truly the middle and upper echelons. These raiders generally concealed their aura and hid their appearances. After all, raiding could too easily invoke enmity. The raiders from Shadow Tower generally possess the strength of middle-stage Divine Emperor cultivators. The weak do not dare to raid, Emperor Qing transmitted to Luo Feng. From the brief exchange earlier, I've estimated their approximate strength already. Luo Feng was clear on this as well. Ha ha ha, Emperor Qing and Luo Feng. The three figures in grey robes looked at Luo Feng and his companion. One of them said with a laugh, "No wonder you two dare to hunt together, you indeed possess some strength. You know the rules of raiding, right?" "Of course," Emperor Qing said, "we are willing to offer some primordial crystals. Not much is needed, just leave behind one low-level primordial life corpse, and we'll let you go," one grey robe spoke up. Emperor Qing and Luo Feng exchanged glances. "All right," Emperor Qing agreed and waved his hand, releasing one low-level primordial life corpse, which was the cheapest among their spoils of war, valued at about 800,000 primordial crystals. That was straightforward. After collecting the body, the leader of the grey robes and his two companions twisted their figures, and three shadows vanished. "Let's go." Emperor Qing and Luo Feng steered the black flying boat, avoiding the shadow formation area, and continued their return. Inside the flying boat. Hunting outside is a threat not only due to low-level primordial life, but also other cultivators. Emperor Qing shook his head. "We of course don't care about those regular raiders, we can even counterkill them. But it's troublesome if we encounter strong ones. If we can flee, we flee. If we can give away some primordial crystals, we do so." Emperor Qing shook his head. "But if a raider doesn't want primordial crystals and instead wants to kill for treasure, then we can only fight for our lives." Luo Feng nodded. Based on the brief exchange, those three must have been middle-stage Divine Emperor cultivators in strength, possibly accumulating for a long time, and not lacking in various secret treasures. Luo Feng admitted that even with Emperor Qing, he wasn't confident in their chances against the three. Phew. After flying for a while, the black flying boat finally arrived at Yulon City. Emperor Qing also showed a smile. "Our luck really isn't bad. Although during our first hunt we encountered a low-level primordial life in the later stages of the Divine Emperor, we managed to escape successfully. The second hunt might have encountered raiders on the return trip, but by giving up a low-level primordial life corpse, we've avoided another disaster." "This is considered good luck?" Luo Feng asked. "Very good luck indeed," Emperor Qing said. "You'll understand when you've hunted more. During hunting, it's common to suddenly encounter an ultra-strong low-level primordial life, causing severe casualties within the team. Or, on the way back, encountering raiders who break the rules, brutally killing and looting treasures." Luo Feng listened and nodded. "In Yulon City, at the early stage of Divine Emperor, it's like this. We stake our lives, and we might still be robbed," Emperor Qing sighed. "Fortunately, I come from the source world and I have the clone technique. Otherwise, life would be much harder. Cultivation isn't easy in Yulon City," Emperor Qing said, and glanced at Luo Feng. "Of course, brother Luo Feng, you are different. You already possess the strength of a mid-stage Divine Emperor enlightened. Just purchase a few more secret treasures suitable for yourself to enrich your skills. That would be enough to join any power faction in Yulon City. In Yulon City, there are many powers. But a mid-stage Divine Emperor enlightened can already become a mainstay," Emperor Qing said. "After all, the next level up is the Elder level, and their numbers are quite limited." Luo Feng smiled. "In Yulon City, there are 723 Divine Emperor later stage enlightened ones in total. Among them, 327 are elders. Many of them have avatars braving the dark sacred realm. The avatars in Yulon City rarely take action. When the elders act, it generally attracts attention across the entire city. It's the mid-stage Divine Emperor Enlightened, who are the backbone of many power factions in Yulon City. Do you have any plans to join any side? Emperor Qing asked. No need, Luo Feng shook his head lightly. What concerns him most now is to swiftly advance his life and death Dao to the early stage of Divine Emperor. That's true, you've been in Yulon City for a short time, just concentrate on cultivation, Emperor Qing said. However, if there's a chance, being in a high position in some major forces does have many benefits. Luo Feng smiled and said no more. During the conversation, the black flying boat had already arrived at the majestic primordial hall. Let's sell the spoils of war first. Emperor Qing and Luo Feng flew together towards the primordial hall. This time the 8 remaining low-level primordial life corpses and battle merits were sold for a total of 8.6 million primordial crystals, Luo Feng and Emperor Qing each taking half. After dividing the primordial crystals, Luo Feng and Emperor Qing went their separate ways to make their purchases. This time, I am mainly buying mid-stage Divine Emperor low-level primordial life materials. Luo Feng began carefully visiting each merchant in Yulon City, inquiring about all materials suitable for life and the destruction path. It took a whole day, carefully comparing prices and bargaining. Finally, he purchased about 1,000 portions of mid-stage Divine Emperor low-level primordial life materials, each costing around 3,300 primordial crystals. In the entire Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, at least 90% of low-level primordial life materials suitable for Luo Feng during the mid-stage Divine Emperor were probably collected. The remaining ones were extremely rare and hard to find. Afterward, Luo Feng also purchased 900,000 primordial crystals worth of auxiliary cultivation elixirs and other items. Quite a coincidence, the official flying boat is about to arrive. Luo Feng was pleasantly surprised. On the third day after making his purchases, one of his avatars, carrying the storage treasure Illusion Realm Maze, took all these purchased treasures back to the land of origin. The storage treasure Illusion Realm Maze was necessary to bring each time. Luo Feng was also worried about theft. Different cultivation systems, sometimes it's really hard to guard against. In the land of origin, with the eye of life and death, the efficiency of cultivation is indeed more than 10 times higher than that of Yulon City. Luo Feng had already decided, in the previous few hunts, to travel back and forth to the land of origin each time. In the future, once sufficiently wealthy, he might travel back and forth after several hunts. Emperor Qing and Luo Feng have returned from their second hunting trip. Since they lived together in the same cave mansion, Luo Feng and Emperor Qing didn't hide anything. Naturally, Emperor Ming and Di Fu also knew about it. It seems that they had a smooth journey. Emperor Ming sat cross-legged in his own cave mansion, his expression complex. Since my arrival in Yulon City, I have also participated in a hunt, but the result was a complete mess. It's logical that the normal hunting teams of Yulon City don't want us, the early-stage Divine Emperor's bloodline cultivators. During the hunt, the positive impact we could provide was negligible. Instead, we were more likely to slow everyone down. This time a total of 32 team members, all early-stage Divine Emperor bloodline cultivators, everyone discussed and deliberated on the methods of cooperation for a long time. But what was the outcome? Emperor Ming was quite disheartened. The 32 members rowed the flying boat out, and were lucky to encounter a low-level primordial life at the early stage of the Divine Emperor. With their team, if they had encountered something stronger, it would likely have been a total annihilation. Even for the weakest low-level primordial life, the 32 of them followed the previously prepared strategies of cooperation and teamed up to attack. However, the body of the low-level primordial life was too formidable. Its life force too strong. Their cooperation was exquisite, and they successfully executed 7 sets of attack strategies, continuously attacking, preventing the low-level primordial life from counterattacking. But after enduring 7 sets of attacks, although the low-level primordial life was grievously injured, it still didn't die. During its mad counterattack, as it neared death, the low-level primordial life brutally killed 7 team members, severely wounded more than 10, and the rest fled in disarray. 32 team members, yet couldn't kill 1 low-level primordial life. No wonder the hunting teams don't want us. Emperor Ming shook his head. Let's make good use of Yulon City's resources, diligently cultivate, and strive to advance our strength further. He appears poor. But being a recipient of the infinite space reward, Emperor Ming is actually quite wealthy. He just has to be very careful when using his wealth. After all, he's too weak. He hasn't even cultivated the clone technique. The true witch lineage of the 9-ringed world tower is indeed extraordinary. The information about the void lineage has enriched me greatly, and I feel I am getting closer to the complete space great Tao. Di Fu was very satisfied within the 9-ringed world tower, even though he was helping out with menial tasks. After all, it's a different cultivation system, but the essence is still Tao. If I could grasp the complete space great Tao, I would have the qualifications to survive into the next era in Land of Origin. Di Fu smiled brilliantly, full of confidence in the future. If he stayed continuously in the Land of Origin, stuck at a bottleneck, he might not manage to break through even unto the grand desolation of the Land of Origin. But since arriving at Yulon City, being exposed to numerous cultivation systems and abundant cultivation resources, the difficulty of achieving a breakthrough has naturally decreased substantially. I came to the right place. Di Fu felt very fortunate. With Luo Feng and Emperor Qing caring for him, he didn't need to worry about his living arrangements within the city, which was quite relaxing. Brother Luo Feng is already at the cultivation strength of a mid-stage divine emperor the enlightened, surpassing me. Emperor Qing sat cross-legged in the quiet room, looking at the jade bowl in front of him which contained an amber-like liquid. I have been stuck at the final bottleneck for too long. 80 million primordial crystals. I sold many treasures to obtain this void heart marrow liquid, for this very gamble. Emperor Qing was not originally so anxious, but the imbalance of strength within the team made him decide to take this gamble now. The wealth accumulated over the long years was all exchanged for this treasure. Come. Emperor Qing opened his mouth, and the amber-like liquid from the jade bowl all flew up, entering into Emperor Qing's mouth. Time drags on. A black flying boat has already commenced its return journey, flying towards Yulon City. In the front hall of the flying boat, Emperor Qing steers the vessel, observing and sensing everything in all directions. Luo Feng sits beside him, the biomimetic eye of destruction on his brow open, surveying the vast expanse surrounding them, while also feeling somewhat wistful. It's been over 7 centuries since I arrived at Yulon City, and this is the 3rd hunting expedition with Emperor Qing. Yet my life and death Tao has still not broken through to the early stages of Divine Emperor. Luo Feng sighs inwardly. 7 centuries, a truly long time. On the Land of Origin, it took Luo Feng just 5 centuries to grow from an eternal true god capable of killing Di Yuan. In the paths of life and destruction, I made small efforts in cultivation and managed to reach the early stages of true god. But to merge the two proves far more difficult. Luo Feng shakes his head gently. Despite consuming some cultivation-aiding treasures, studying vast amounts of low-level primordial life materials with the Eye of Life and Death, and with the assistance of treasures like the Undying Heart, the Eye of Life and Death, and the Star Tower, his cultivation could be described as advancing by leaps and bounds. Yet the life and death Tao is too vast. Brother Luo Feng, I originally thought that by the 3rd hunting expedition, after my breakthrough to the middle stages of Divine Emperor, my strength would be comparable to yours. Emperor Qing says from aside, his emotions still quite stirred. remarking, "Who would have thought that in this short time, your strength has taken yet another significant stride?" "It's merely the creation of a physical body method," says Luo Feng. "That physical body method of yours is truly terrifying," exclaims Emperor Qing. "Having just reached the middle stages of the Divine Emperor, I thought by joining forces with you, I could never have imagined we would be able to kill a low-level primordial life at the middle stage of Divine Emperor." Luo Feng smiles. Indeed. During the third hunting expedition, they killed 7 low-level primordial lives at the early stages of Divine Emperor, and 1 at the middle stage of Divine Emperor. Using your physical body, you faced the flame monster beast in battle, and gained overwhelming advantage. I merely assisted you from formation, and you forcefully killed that middle stage Divine Emperor level flame monster beast. Emperor Qing vividly recalls that scene. Luo Feng, displaying the powerful physical body method, was cloaked in a layer of blood-colored scales, which granted him terrifying defensive capabilities. The flame monster beast's ferocious attacks merely caused minor cracks on the surface scales of Luo Feng's body, which quickly healed. Yet with each of Luo Feng's strikes, the flame monster beast would sustain massive injuries. With one hand dragging, the other furiously attacking, coupled with sweeping blood waves, the flame monster beast couldn't even escape. Emperor Qing merely added to the assault with supportive strikes from his sword array, delivering a few fierce final blows to the flame monster beast, which Luo Feng then completely vanquished. My physical body is only comparable to that of a mid-stage Divine Emperor level low-level primordial life, Luo Feng says with a smile. Indeed, just comparable. It's because Luo Feng's methods of killing and self-defense are more mysterious, and with the assistance of 2 great secret treasures, that he could fully suppress that flame monster beast. Having a physical body that's nearly the equal of a mid-stage Divine Emperor level low-level primordial life is terrifying enough, laments Emperor Qing. Their advantage lies in their physical bodies, ours in our realms of power. With your realm, to bring forth such a physical body, you could even hunt down a mid-stage Divine Emperor level low-level primordial life on your own. An average middle-stage Divine Emperor level hunting team would at least consist of 3 cooperative and experienced Divine Emperors in the middle stages along with an enlightened one, or as many as 6 or 7, explains Emperor Qing. Your current strength is considered very formidable among those at the middle stage of Divine Emperor. Emperor Qing's praise comes with mixed emotions. He thought he had made a breakthrough, having become a middle stage Divine Emperor himself. He assumed that this time, he would be entitled to an even split of the spoils of war. About the distribution of the spoils of war this time, let's do a 70-30 split, suggests Emperor Qing. Weren't we agreed on 50-50, asks Luo Feng, looking at him. That was the agreement when they set out. At that time, Luo Feng had even borrowed some primordial crystals from Emperor Qing to purchase a secret treasure array map, which was also used to assist this physical body. I hadn't expected that you could single-handedly slay a mid-stage Divine Emperor level low-level primordial life, says Emperor Qing. I took advantage the last time we divided the spoils, this time no. A 70-30 split is enough. If it were an 80-20 split considering merit points, Emperor Qing wouldn't necessarily be limited to 1/5. A 30% share feels sufficient to Emperor Qing. Looking into Emperor Qing's eyes and understanding his thoughts, Luo Feng nods smilingly, fine, then let it be 70-30. Having been in Yulon City for over 7 centuries, although the life and death Dao has never become early stage Divine Emperor, Luo Feng has accumulated increasingly deep expertise throughout the cultivation process, also creating some secret techniques for life and death integration, of which the strongest is based on the Star Tower blood-colored scale as a template, further drawing on the profound mysteries of the combat-oriented undying heart, and culminating in the creation of this physical body method. It's called the Undying Blood Sea Body. This method stands as the present pinnacle of Luo Feng's cultivation path. Purely with the physical body, he is comparable to a mid-stage divine emperor-level low-level primordial life. With just a glimpse into the mysteries of the Star Tower blood-colored scale and the undying heart, I've managed to forge such a method, Luo Feng is well aware. Once I make further progress in my realm, this physical body method can continue to be perfected. Previous physical body methods relied on the support of the formless and intangible transformation. Now, the cultivation of the physical body must be realized through self-enlightenment. The life path has always been a subject of thorough study, and Luo Feng's comprehension proceeds smoothly. The speed of Luo Feng's growth is indeed frightening. Emperor Qing, as Luo Feng's teammate, acutely senses his pace of development, having been in Yulon City for just 7 brief centuries, from initially slightly lagging behind me in strength. Now, amongst the middle-stage Divine Emperor Enlightened Ones, he is considered extremely formidable. If he progresses further, wouldn't he reach the level of a late-stage Divine Emperor Enlightened One? That's the realm of strength possessed by the ancestors of the two nations. Is this the pinnacle of talent among countless worlds? Emperor Qing sighs inwardly, shining brilliantly in the land of origin, but when compared to the numerous strong beings across countless source worlds, he, too, can only be considered 1 in 10,000. Within a single reincarnation era of the source world, Emperor Qing became a middle-stage Divine Emperor Enlightened One, a feat not to be dismissed lightly. In Yulon City, the number boasting such strength amounts to not more than tens of thousands, among them many old creatures, who have cultivated for endless eons. In the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm, I am considered 1 in 10,000. But this Luo Feng, he is at least 1 in 100 million, ponders Emperor Qing. The black flying boat continued its flight. Emperor Qing, after reaching the middle stage of Divine Emperor on the Space Great Tao, also greatly enhanced his ability to perceive the void. Emperor Qing carefully sensed his surroundings. Everything seemed normal, with clouds rolling in the distance and dust swirling on the ground. We have fallen into a formation, Emperor Qing voice transmitted to Luo Feng. Luo Feng's expression remained unchanged on the surface, but inside, he grew vigilant. I haven't detected any danger, Luo Feng's biomimetic eye of destruction was also observing. It's a very powerful void technique. The transition through the void is unnaturally natural, and I only realized it after falling into the formation. I am turning around now and will flee with all my might, transmitted Emperor Qing. The enemy was not rushing to make a move. They were patiently waiting for them to venture deeper into the formation. But once turned around and fleeing, the enemy would likely strike immediately. Whiz! The black flying boat suddenly turned around, fleeing rapidly at immense speed. A vast formation diagram phantom appeared around the flying boat, covering its surface with a layer of sword light. Wrapped in the sword light, the flying boat's escape speed increased significantly. Have they discovered us? They are quite sharp. A vast painting emerged from the void, encompassing an extremely wide area. Their black flying boat was but a small dot within the enormous painting. Enter my secret treasure, and you still wish to escape. A cold sneer spread from the void all around. Rip! Above the black flying boat, suddenly, a pair of hands condensed into form. The gigantic pair of hands burst forth with the mystery of life and death, forcibly tearing a slit in the vast painting, and the black flying boat immediately whooshed out of the painting through the gap. 5 figures stood in different positions, watching the escaping black flying boat. So it is a few friends from the Deceit Workshop. The black flying boat disappeared, and Luo Feng and Emperor Qing appeared, quite courteously. Luo Feng also observed the 5 silhouettes occupying positions in the distance. 3 great raider forces had already attempted to steal his treasures. It was the insect nest the first time, and the last encounter was with the Shadow Tower. This time, they met the Deceit Workshop. He had dealt with all 3 great raider forces. The leader of the deceit workshop practices very special cultivation methods, calling himself Deceit Realm Master, and his methods are extremely vicious. His subordinates are mostly the same. Luo Feng had naturally understood some basic information about the deceit workshop. Emperor Qing, your sword array, and the giant hand that just now escaped the painting of the secret treasure. It seems that both of you have reached the middle stage of Divine Emperor. Observed the 5 silhouettes looking at Luo Feng and Emperor Qing. Gentlemen, shall we do this by the book? Emperor Qing spoke. Having escaped the ambush was already proof of their strength. According to the rules, they would pay a fee as a tribute for the raiders' efforts. Dealing with these two isn't easy, a tall figure voice transmitted, take a fee and let them go. Emperor Qing and Luo Feng, in the intelligence reports, had always been at the early stage of Divine Emperor. Even if they have broken through to the middle stage of Divine Emperor, it hasn't been long since their breakthrough, so their foundation isn't deep. A cold man with a blood-colored vertical mark between his eyebrows voice transmitted, we 5, at the middle stage of Divine Emperor, have long been coordinated and experienced. Joining hands against them, we have a great chance. The 2 of them are from the source world, and even if we eliminate them, they may still have avatars. Those who come out from the source world sometimes have some very special treasures. If we can scoop up one, we'll make a fortune, the cold man voice transmitted. At this, the other 4 were tempted. Indeed. Compared to the billions of worlds being farmed, the strong from the source world received more resources, like special life remnants, innate secret treasures, and even treasures exchanged in the infinite space were all very enviable for the strong from the billions of worlds. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing were extremely vigilant. The rules. Outside Yulon City, there are no rules. The cold man sneered, today, both of you must die. As the voice dropped, black rain appeared, covering a boundlessly vast area around them. Within this vast area, the enormous painting appeared once again, looming over Luo Feng and Emperor Qing once more. They want to kill us. Emperor Qing's face changed drastically, his eyes also filled with madness. With raiders, not everyone followed the rules. And once the rules were disregarded, it was the naked law of the jungle. Emperor Qing, I'll take on 4, you take on 1. Luo Feng's eyes were filled with a cold killing intent. This video will end here.